Hello. Today I wanted to talk to you about the banking payment sector and their role in the cryptocurrencies. Two main factors to bring to your attention. Of the 20,000 or so banks in the world, the majority have a no cryptocurrency policy. We'll close your account, etc. Easy. Contrast that with the wealth managers driving demand by saying, maybe you should have 2 to 3% of crypto in your portfolio, as the loss would be negligible in the overall scheme of things, but the opportunity of the higher potential returns can distort the overall portfolio return, particularly in the current environment of very low interest rates and returns. Adding to that the mix the non-bank financial institutions, the MSBs, the payment firms, who are actors in the movement and possession of crypto, and the statements coming out from major institutions that they are now willing to custody BTC, as an example, begin to allow crypto users to hold accounts with them, and with Visa and MasterCard saying that they will allow payments for crypto across their rails. Is this the beginning of crypto going mainstream? Reality says, therefore, that this perceived favoured instrument of the criminal classes, we've all heard illegal drug sales, human trafficking, terrorist financing, illegal weapon sales, cross-border transfers, breaching exchange controls, ransomware, sanctions busting, and so on, must be passing through the books somehow of these 20,000 banks in the world. How is it actually going through those banks? Well, credit cards, debit cards, wire transfers, SWIFT payments, all being a means of use for the purchase of crypto. So if any bank with retail or institutional accounts provides any of these services, they are servicing crypto. Hence, 100% of the 20,000 banks in the world are somehow involved in crypto financing or transfers. And 100% of all US retail banks have consumers or SMEs transacting with virtual asset service providers, or VASPs. Okay, maybe some of these banks have a small appetite for crypto. How have they defined what crypto means to them? Probably simplistically. As we have seen today, we won't open an account for anybody transacting crypto. How successful has that actually been? Here's the clues. One bank in the US, medium-sized, has an appetite for about $250 million at any one time. Turns out, when we did some analysis of them, they had $2 billion of annual crypto-related transactions going through their books, and they had absolutely no idea. That $250 million was their estimate. 8 out of 10 top US banks have unregulated crypto MSBs on their books and don't even know it. The telling piece, though, is that of the top 600 crypto exchanges in existence and other VASP players, 55% of them do not have KYC checks that match the standards if they have them at all. Let me repeat that. Over half of the crypto counterparties that the bank's clients are dealing with do not have satisfactory KYC checks for their clients, meaning that if those VASPs are not checking who is illicit, then the banks really aren't going to know who they've got onboarded as well. So I'm saying that the firms that are responsible for our wealth in general have no idea what their exposure is to this rapidly growing sector, and worse, are actually blindingly providing the means for certain of their clients to fund the criminal activities already mentioned. Can it happen? Of course. A picture on Facebook, Twitter, released by ISIS, it said, "Send us Bitcoin to this wallet address so we can buy food, guns, and weapons." A number of Western-issued credit cards were used to buy Bitcoin from unregulated VASPs and delivered to the wallet address. Banks, completely unaware as they had no way of understanding the sympathies of their cardholders, let alone their spending, or had the means to detect them. Are those banks therefore complicit in terrorist financing? Despite what I have said about the use of Bitcoin for the various offences, is that really true? Actually, the crypto sector has changed. The dark web and illicit VASPs have changed. Now, instead of the Silk Road type of platform offering weapons, drugs, murders, and so on, now 64% of the value is split 60 to 40% between compromised bank accounts for sale and creditor card accounts, and also compromised payment accounts. Interestingly, that the criminals believe the real criminal value these days remains in the traditional financial services. I've painted the picture of the high-level underlying risks for the financial sector and their inability to spot it. How can they spot this? Contrary to a lot of boards' thoughts, cryptocurrency activity is not anonymous. Everything is recorded somewhere and is available to them. There is information to discern between the good crypto firms, the bad ones, and everything in between. What does good look like for a bank? Simple overview. It cannot be done manually due to the sheer volume and speed of data that these transactions take. Put that into context. Bitcoin is the most liquid of the cryptocurrencies and is therefore the easiest to trace. It is the third largest payment system in the world by market cap after Visa and MasterCard. Conceptually, the new technology works in a different way to the typical KYC process. It doesn't start with who am I dealing with, but by aggregating the various tags of the transaction and putting all of that into one piece. Think of the entire layering process being readily available to a bank in a very short period of time. That aggregation of data is from the 150 million wallet addresses, their inflows, outflows, the tracking of payments, and ultimately linking it all to who has the account or the card that originated that fiat payment. All of this data is there and now, and banks are generally doing a poor to very poor job of thinking about detecting and monitoring the criminal activity in their payment flows and their retail accounts. Why is that? They put everything into the one category and they think their traditional methodologies work. Does a bank do the same due diligence on the payments flowing from the VASPs with no KYC and the ones that do? Do they check as to the information out there I've just described? Compare the due diligence on a crypto peer-to-peer platform to that of a better managed exchange. Simply, COVID has seen a massive boom in e-commerce firms. Easy place for a bank's due diligence, sell over the internet, which is readily accepted with a modicum of analysis by that bank. An e-commerce firm is a perfect title for unregistered crypto exchanges, and the easy acceptance of their know your business checks could be damaging for any bank card provider in the not too distant future. I'm establishing the point that some VASPs are doing a good job and some are plainly criminal. Will that reflect badly on my organisation if I am a director of that bank? And am I unaware of what is going through the books and records and to whom it is going? Will I be the one who is held to account? The US has forced certain crypto exchanges to up their game, and that has raised standards for the VASPs, hence a number fall into the good category. UK and EU are following suit, the fifth anti-money laundering directive, registration requirements for VASPs. Potentially, the crypto firms will be squeezed out to the periphery if they don't want to improve. That by geographical jurisdiction. However, there are activities happening that we should be aware of that also have the ability to shape and improve the market. This is the legal process. Approximately 2 billion crypto have been hacked recently with a likelihood of 30% recoveries. The 30% is a significant improvement from previous years. This is generally to the greater sophistication of the technology I've been talking about, giving the information of the players, making it harder for them to hide. A criminal at the moment still needs to convert his crypto to cash to enable him to live and eat, and that cash comes from the banks. Hack alerts are being generated rapidly. The enforcers are moving much more quickly, and some banks are freezing accounts based upon this information. Far easier to see a whole picture rather than that traditional model of having to take weeks to build up a picture of layering. Now the VASPs are also facing the legal consequences of their shortcuts. Class actions funded by litigation funds and the victims themselves. Expect a defining watershed case very soon, which will be very telling. Where do all these legal cases get their information from? That's right, the same technology that banks should be using to look at their clients and transaction flows. And who is also being taken to task? The old adage of follow the money still runs true. If the VASP disappears, and they do regularly at a rate of 20 to 30 exchanges out of around 600 in the world, disappear per quarter. Will the banks who provided facilities to them be on the radar? Absolutely. On the basis that they didn't do proper due diligence, or worse, were funding criminal activity completely obliviously. Tech can see a crypto exchange as a whole, the counterparts to them, and then the transactions and the participants. Why wouldn't you use this tech? The regulators and law enforcers do, so it's only a matter of time before a bank is asked the awkward questions, which the regulators know. And that question starts with, why weren't you looking?